Here we are. We've talked about it. We did bass fishing news industry ramblings. We don't have a name for it, but we did it about a month or so ago, and we said we were going to
Yeah.
try to do it. I think at that time every week, but I think once a month is probably like more appropriate, and more likely that we'll actually be able to work our schedules out. So
Absolutely.
let's say this is the October installment of what's happening in bass fishing, and Hellabass and Baitman are going to break it down. We got a whole list of topics. I got a whole pile of baits
That's what I'm
that
excited
we can
for.
look at.
I follow.
So
I feel like I follow the baits a little bit more than I do the fishing at times.
we might have to like a little bit of industry talk, a little bit of baits, get Baitman's energy up tonight so he can get awake from his nap, get his tea kicked in, and then we'll go back and forth.
I tell you what got me fired up this week is I went fishing and I caught some bass on top water, and there's nothing like those big brown fish coming up and crushing a bait. And even caught some largemouth. And Darius was out fishing this week, and Darius slayed some big largemouth.
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling we're on opposite ends of the lake. There's a few more boat docks where I was fishing, but they're biting good if I can catch them. I can tell you that. But got to throw a new bait. Made about 4 casts. Caught me a big brownie and said, "All right, see if we can do that again." And it worked. And dadgummit, I keep losing these JDM jackhammers in that cold shad color. Man, they eat that thing, and that big brownie break me off. So I'm pretty fired up about some fishing right now. I feel like Monday I got the day off. It could be a really good day with the big cold front coming that night. It should be chomping.
Yeah, I was pretty excited. Last weekend I got out fishing quite a bit. No topwater. I guess my buddy got one on a frog, and I got a couple bites on a frog, but they didn't eat it. But I was able to catch several fish on the native gill from
I like
Tacklecraft.
that.
But the bad news is I hit a dock post at the end and broke the tail off of it.
Ooh,
So
dock posts been crushing swim baits since they came out, man. We
yeah,
all think.
and I also lost a big M TK painted root crankbait, and that was
Ooh.
a pike got the best of me. So,
Man,
but other than
TK's
that, it was
pumping
actually
some
pretty
good
good.
stuff out. Glide baits, painting up them Marty Burns baits. I know Darius has got some. He's been
Yeah, I
hitting them
saw
pretty
Darius.
hard with the
I
Martys.
think I got some of the what Darius posted right here.
Uh-oh. I'm I'm ready.
And I got a 6 cents box that you might know something about,
Well, the
and a
box
couple
is
other
six
boxes.
cents. I'm pretty sure. So I mean I get a lot of them. I probably got as many as you get Omnia boxes. So when I got to
Yeah,
ship stuff, I'm in no
but
hurt for
this is
those
your six
boxes.
cents box.
Right. There's a few special things in there. I
Yeah.
don't think you have.
And then the other thing is back on like October 1st, my Mercury snapped the drive shaft, and it's been out of commission waiting for parts. So, and the forecast looks like there might be ice before my boat is finished. So,
I hate it for you, brother.
but I'm working on it. Hopefully, get out with my buddy from the Dream Team on Mille Lacs here in November yet before that freezes up, catch some big smallmouth. So, we'll see.
I'm just still paying
But
people's gas money to take
yeah, that's
me.
what's happening locally for ourselves. I think there's a bunch of things to talk about. I got a
Mm-hmm.
little list here. Uh,
What do we want
well,
to do
this is new
first?
news to
Baits or bass and news?
maybe. I think we maybe do like a bass topic, and then we'll do some baits, and then do a bass topic, and then do some baits. I had not heard that codes were not working on rods and reels. I knew there was certain brands, but I had not heard there was a restriction on rods and reels as a general. So it'd be
I
interesting if other
wonder if
people have
that
found that.
is the price of shipping rods has gotten outrageous,
Mm-hmm.
and I think a lot of these dealers would love to offer you a great discount on a rod, but by the time you get a discount and they ship a rod to, they may lose money on that. So that's a high possibility. Just from my experience, I mean, at one time a basic rod, 7.5 footer or 7 footer, you're 25-30 bucks, and if it's up
Yeah.
40-50 bucks, man.
Yeah, I saw the new tackle trap or the the relaunched one. They had a post about how they had a flat fee on
Mm-hmm.
rods for $30, I think.
Yeah, so back in my internet days, I tried to offset the cost. I would, PVC rod tube, $10 charge. Didn't matter if it was an $800 rod or $80 rod. And you know what? At checkout, 90% of the people hit that. They want that $10 PVC rod tube.
Hmm.
So, hey, uh, people want their stuff. You order a nice rod, you want it safe. Ooh.
Well, I'd assume the hooks are different,
Yeah, it's
and
got
maybe some of the hardware.
different hooks, saltwater hardware. Internally, the bait's still the same.
Probably some special colors. But
Yeah, some different saltwater colors.
well, let's maybe talk. Let's start with maybe the Major League Fishing, and I think I'm not going to go through like every single part of
Right.
the MLF because I think that's been pretty well documented. And actually, Luke Duncan did a really good job walking through the history of the last 5 years and all the changes. And but I think you know if to me at the root of it, if their move to 50 was with if they could get back to if they could get back to no entry fees and do a 50-person league, I could see that as a step in the right direction.
Correct.
But the fact that the anglers entry fees are actually going up and they're reducing live coverage and they're making the field smaller, overall, I can't get on board with it.
Yeah, I kind of knew this was happening um, right before it dropped publicly. You know, I heard it through the grapevine from a really good source. And, I don't, I was told that it was going to be reduced to 35, but there would be no entry fees. Uh, Now, I haven't really kept up hardcore with it, but evidently, I guess they're paying entry fees. So, that's silly. Obviously, lots of promises were made years ago to entice bait anglers to make the switch. Plenty of them took the bait, and some of them didn't. Um, I, FLW. I also called FLW. It used to be Operation Bass. It's really close to me. I mean, I could jog over there from my house, but I don't really care for the direction it's going in. Not so much because of the MLF deal, but they've really crapped on the grassroots anglers. For example, my buddy I went fishing with the other day, he's in the chat, Jerry Hall, great guy, enjoyed fishing with him, put me on them bass. He qualified for a regional through the BFLs, and he has to pay a $330 entry fee after he has already paid all these expenses and qualified to make a regional, which is pretty tough. And it used to be free. You used to
Yep.
fish for a boat or whatever the amount
Or a
of money
truck.
was, boat
Yeah.
or a truck, and it was a free entry fee. Now the payouts are less. I mean, you still can win a boat. Don't get me wrong, but then you got to pay that entry fee money. So that boat's not really free anymore if you win. It's basically a culmination of all your expenses, all your plus that entry fee. Um, I don't like that. I've always thought the All Americans should be held in high standards. It should be one of the top 3, 4 tournaments of the year. Bassmaster Classic #1. I would say the U.S. Open is a high ranking tournament now. I don't care about Red Crest. Like, I've not watched a Red Crest. The name is silly. You bring back the Forest Wood Cup, and then you got the All American in that. Those are your premier tournaments. I don't even think Red Crest is premier. There's just too much silly
Yeah.
stuff.
Other than what makes Red Crest Premier is at this time, it's the whatever the 30, 40 guys that fish it are still 30, 40 of the biggest names historically in the sport. So
Right.
that is really the only thing it has going for it, in my opinion. And then obviously the payout, I guess, is still premier. At least it was. We haven't seen what it's going to be like going forward. Uh,
Yeah.
but it's pretty clear that everything that MLF slash which bought FLW, right?
Mm-hmm.
They've put entry fees on the regionals for the BFLs. They've restructured the payouts. The Toyotas got restructured, but they're probably still one of the best bargains in fishing,
Yeah, I think
honestly, with
the
their
Toyotas
championship.
are the best bang for your buck, not just the money, but competition wise.
Yeah.
You're going to get some sticks in there. You're going to get some guys that are your weekend anglers. You're going to get some guys that are a little bit better than weekend, but not quite pro level. And usually they got a good schedule.
I mean, the pro circuit, which was the FLW, basically got completely gutted and restructured. It was losing over $1 million a year, and now it's making money. They basically just restructured it, and now the VPT is going through the same thing. In my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
it's all about. Here's at a high level. This is how I see it happening. Boyd and team and Gary Klein and the leaders 5 years ago had this idea. They sold this business plan to the anglers and to the investors, right? About how they were going to get all these new viewers, new watchers, new audience, new sponsors, endemics. There was going to be money coming in for everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to have to pay entry fees. This is going to be great. They probably shouldn't have bought MLF or FLW. That probably wasn't a great business decision for them at the time. They were too focused on trying to kill bass and not watching their own bobber and building
Mm-hmm.
their own business. And now, 3, 4, 5 years in, Uncle Cronky Sports, Stan, who's a and the other investors are very good businessmen, and they didn't become very wealthy by becoming donators. And so now they're asking, so it's coming from both ways. The anglers are saying, like, hey, where's all the promise of all this stuff? So are the investors and the owners. And now they're saying, well, if you don't make it profitable, we're just going to shut it down. So
Right.
that's to me, that in the simplest way, that's what's driving all these changes. They got to make the P&L look good, and they're reducing live coverage. They're raising entry fees. They're limited, shrinking the number of days of coverage, the number of days of the actual tournament. It's all pointing to like reducing overhead and becoming more profitable.
Yeah. So I mean, people don't like to hear this, but fishing tournament organizations are not nonprofits. They have to make money, whether it's
Yep.
Bass or MLF. And unfortunately, sometimes business decisions are made that weren't very good in the beginning. I mean, I've worked at places that said they're going to do this and they're going to do that, and they don't. And now here I am at my
That's
nice little union job, and I just punch my time
corporate
card, do my
America at
job,
its
go home.
finest.
Yeah, but I mean, look, man, we just had a union contract, and our company makes money, but at the end of the day, they're going to give us a big raise. They expect our product to be as good, if not better, and work a little bit more efficiently. And I get that. If the company's making money, you're going to make some money. If they'll listen to you, I'm not here to get on a union soapbox or anything like that. You either like them or you don't. It doesn't faze me as long as my checks don't bounce. But obviously, if the company's losing money, people are going to lose their jobs. And look, fishing is tough, man. There's a lot of guys that are not financially stable enough to lose $40,000 in entry fees and plus all your expenses and stuff like that. But I will say this: people don't like to hear this either. There's some anglers out there that are crying the blues that just aren't catching fish. I
Yeah,
hate to say it.
and
Whether
that's
they're
part of it
fishing
for
MLF or
sure.
bass, do you think if you had turd years on MLF that you're just going to jump in the opens and it's going to be easy? No, that's not going to happen. Um, there's a lot of guys that are crying the blues that at the end of the day, if they would have caught fish instead of trying to be TikTok stars or make funny quotes everywhere, and I'm not singling out anybody in particular. I'm just saying, um, and it's at all levels of fishing. If you concentrate on catching some fish, you'll make a few more checks. So
Yeah, and I think that in general, I agree that it's a performance based, just like most other sports. If you don't perform in the NBA, NFL, NHL, you're going to get replaced. I think the rub is right that the leadership sold this dream, and and they went
yeah,
along with it, and now it sucks. And now these guys, these 30 that get dropped, the majority of them are basically probably going to have to retire from tournament fishing
yeah, no,
because if Bobby Lane and Ish Monroe, who dropped out of the league, and they were in, if Bobby and Ish stayed, I don't know the numbers, but just based like I'm roughly following it, I'm guessing they would be in the cut, right? And
mm-hmm.
they couldn't make the Opens. So to think that these 30 guys are going to drop out and go fish the Opens and make it back in, most of them don't have what it takes anymore.
Right, and then it's just 9 spots for the open. Not everyone can pull a Ben Milliken, Trey McKinney, or you know look, John Garrett's tried 3 or 4 times, and he just now made it. And shout out to John Garrett. He was on my stream, and he basically said that he got to thinking down on himself. Is this really for me? And, I feel like I'm due, and if it doesn't work out this time, who knows what I'm going to do. And so I'm really glad he made the elites. Talk about a
Yeah.
guy puts in work and wants it, but there's guys I never even knew that made the opens. Obviously, awesome fishermen. So it's that field's so tough, man. So many guys have the ability to make the elites.
Yeah. Um, and I think, I think a lot of them are going to end up in the NPFL. If I'm being honest, if they can
Yeah.
get in.
So you talk about playing your cards right and maybe staying the course. NPFL, uh, they're here. I don't watch a lot of it because look, I don't watch a lot of tournaments unless it's bass, and my work schedule don't allow me to watch even a lot of bass live. But NPFL, right place, right time. They may get some bigger names in there and draw some more viewers, and maybe in 1 or 2 years this NPFL thing really takes off. We'll see.
Yeah. Speaking of NPFL, we'll talk about their schedule, but like, I actually watched them a little bit the first year or two when they were on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
But now that they've done this fixed TV thing, and I kind of understand what they're trying to do, but that other layer of complication of another app and another website is
Right.
just like, that's like a little bit too much effort for me to want to go watch it now.
Yeah, I don't want to have to like download some weird software to my laptop or phone because I've kept this laptop for 4 years and it's never gave me any
And I
major
think it's totally
issue.
above board, but it's just like another website, and then like part of it's free and part of it is premium. And I get they're
Right.
trying to drive, I mean, they're trying to create a revenue source, but like to me, like I watched more FLW and MPFL when they used to stream it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Because
So
like
it's.
literally every device I have already has YouTube on it. I could put on
Mm-hmm.
my smart TV, I could put it on my computer, I could look it on my phone, I'd get notifications. Like
Mm-hmm.
to me, I think these, instead of trying to figure out how to like squeeze the dollars out of the viewers they're getting, I think they just got to like put it out there and make it just accessible. I mean, like I think they should be like push it on
Right.
YouTube. They should be inviting guys like us to like do
Do
watch
stream
parties and
parties. Yeah.
restream it and like just get it out there. Just don't worry about whether you can count every single view on the website. It's just like they just got to get it out there.
Yeah. I'd be down for an NPFL watch party, stuff like that. Uh, let's look at our audience. So me and you, our audience is probably, I would say, in the highest demographic or one of the higher demographics that watch bass fishing, watch tackle videos, stuff like that. They don't want to go beat around the bush just to watch something. Type it in YouTube, type in Hellabass, boom, you're live. Type in Baitman, boom, you're live. That's all it is. Get to YouTube,
We
type
multi-stream
NPFL, and you're there.
to Twitter, Facebook. I mean, we make it easy. Like, where do you want to watch it? I'll put it out there. Like, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like, I'm not. Is it better for me and you if everybody watches on YouTube? Sure, but let's just get it out there and make it easy for people.
Yeah. Um, so I have I'm a dirt racing guy, so I have a subscription to what they call Dirt Vision. It's like $25 a month, but it's so easy. I just click it and it's there, everything. You know, maybe that's something they need. Maybe just the NPFL official app, and when the tournament's live, all you do is click it and you can watch anything. Instead of
Yeah, I
having to
mean, maybe
download.
if fixed TV had all of the tournaments, then I'd
Right.
be down, right? But like
Yeah.
right now, I got to go to Bassmaster, right? And sometimes I got to go to Bassmaster, and sometimes I got to go to FS1. Sometimes I got to go on MLF or Major League Fishing, and then I got to go to fixed TV. It's just like
Yeah.
so. Are we ready to look at
I
some
think that.
baits?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's look at some baits.
All right. Should we start with I guess we'll start with one of the Baitman boxes. Which one?
Well, I can tell you one of them only has one bait in it.
Well, I know that too, but which one do you want to see first?
Whatever you want, Rich. Whatever you want.
Should we go with the something big? So,
Yeah, go with that. I
Baitman
was.
has been testing the speaking of other apps,
Yeah.
Right? Baitman has been hanging out on he's been simulcasting on YouTube and Whatnot, and Whatnot is like a live auction
Yeah, it's basically like
streaming
eBay
website.
meets a live stream.
Right. And they have different categories, right? And I'm sure there's people doing like beauty and arts and
Oh, dude.
crafts and everything, but you're in the sports and outdoors
Yeah.
section and you're been cleaning out the bait room. So this is one
Slowly
that I
but
bought in one of
surely.
your second streams, something.
Yeah,
So
and Brendan Brown, Bait Company said, "Hey man, can I send you some stuff and you sell it
yeah,
for
this
me?"
is
And I
actually one
said,
of
"Sure."
BBC's baits, Brendan's
Yeah,
baits, isn't it?
one of Brendan's baits. I said, "Sure, man," and I'll send the money to you.
So knowing Brendan and the shape of the box, do people have any guesses on what's in the box?
They were watching Whatnot. They might have known. Weird
Yeah.
name for an
So
app. That's my only.
I did get it works pretty well. Actually, so I checked it out and it's actually a pretty good interface
Hmm.
for the consumer. I don't know what you think of it as like a seller yet.
It's
But I
different,
feel
but
like
man, when you got to ship stuff, if you got a label printer, dude, it's money.
so. But look at this. We got a little. It's almost like a little nest in there. A little.
Yeah, so that come from my buddy Sam who owns Narrowgate Bass. That's how he packed his little rat to me.
So this is the NGB is the narrow
Yep,
gate baits.
yep.
I actually thought this rat was going to be a little bigger than this.
Yeah, so it's when you show it on a stream or whatever, it looks really big, but that bull rat is not that huge of a bait.
I mean, it's 5 inches maybe without
Yeah,
the
I think it's
tail. I
about,
don't know.
yeah, without the tail, it's maybe 5 inches. I think Buka
Yeah, I'm
says
trying to think.
6.
Yeah, because like this is a 6 inch swim bait, I think. So yeah, it's maybe only like 4.5. I usually have a ruler here, but I don't see where it is. But yeah, so it's a bull rat, right? It's a Buka bull rat.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's an interesting paint job. Is this one that Brendan put on there, or did he get
I
that like that?
think I saw a signature on the bottom. I don't know if Brendan did that or if that was
Hmm.
one of
There is
Buka's
like
custom
B.
painters. I want to think it might be Bill Barton.
It does say BB. Well, so that could be Brendan Brown. Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to get the backstory from Brendan. I don't know if I don't know. Maybe I'll try to fish it, see what it's like. If not, then maybe I'll.
So you travel and fish more than I do, and I was thinking that bright color, that's a spotted bass smallmouth kind of color. I mean, it's going to stand out. So some guys crank those things down a foot, 2 foot. I personally like that slow retrieve and that
Yeah,
body
wake
just
bait.
shimmy
Yeah,
as a wake bait.
let the joints sit there and buckle and clank and squeak.
Yeah, and that's one cool thing about that bull rat. It's got some good squeak to it. You know, you get that good
People
buzz
can.
bait that rivet's a little rusted and it gets that squeak.
It's got rotating hook hangers.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm a
I
big
don't.
fan of Buka. The price. Oh, I think I only paid what $35 for this.
Yeah. I mean, they're brand new on his website. I'm paying for like $55. So
55, $60, I think. Yeah. So I don't have a rat. So this is my first rat.
you
So I'm
do
pretty
now.
excited. So I figured, hey, I was helping out Brendan. I was getting a Buka bull rat, and so that's bait number one. I don't want to forget this. We were kind of right in the middle of a conversation, but shout out to Bass Assassin. Thanks for the super chat. That's awesome. Much appreciated.
Yes, sir. Thank
Not
you,
needed.
Bass Assassin. Rich will
Awesome.
spend that at Omnia next week.
Or use it to put some gas in the Camus if I ever get it back.
Man, I feel bad for you. I shouldn't laugh. It's
Yeah,
like
the,
my
the
worst
tail is
fear.
just I mean, it looks like a Magnum tripworm kind of
Yeah,
basically.
you can put a
Or
mag
maybe,
trick worm in there. Buka always put Danny Joe's floating worm in there.
so I don't
But
I don't does it screw? Is there like is it glued in there or
I
can
think
like
there's a
I unscrew
toothpick or
this? I'm not
something.
sure. I guess I'll have to research it before I start pulling on it. But
Yeah, it's actually made of resin. Thanks, Rick and Blake.
so it'll be great off dock posts, just like my
Yeah.
Native gill.
Yeah.
It's pinned. Tom says it's pinned. Okay,
Yep.
cool. Yeah, let's see. So we kind of touched on NPFL. I actually have their schedule pulled up. Let's touch on that quick. So their 2023 championship is moved to next spring, so they're kind of following. I see. I kind of feel like they should have went with a season end championship and
Mm-hmm.
kind of they had the opportunity there to take the I don't know, try to replace the cup, right? The Forest Wood Cup by having a late summer, early fall championship.
Mm-hmm.
But now they're just throwing it right in the mix, and they're just going to be always like around the same time as the Classic and the Dead Crest. So I feel like I wish they just would have done it in like October, November, whatever, something like that.
Yeah, I like the classic one. It was way back in this, in the summer.
I
But
forgot I did something.
I,
I got to share this. So, but
yeah,
yeah, so I like Amistad. I like it that time of year, but I guess I wish they would have went with the late summer championship. But I
yeah.
think
So
Amistad could be good. I'm guessing Amistad's probably fishing pretty good right now, but I haven't heard relatable. Uh, but next year they got, if you don't count their championship, they have a huge gap between stop one and stop two, which makes me think people will forget that they exist. When
yeah,
everybody else is fishing, that's a little bit of a concern. But I mean, otherwise, this is going to be attractive because people that can't hack it in the opens and get cut from the BPT or just get tired of trying to like bang their heads in the MLF invitationals or bass and they would just want a high entry, high opportunity game. I feel like the NPFL is positioned to succeed here.
right. Pickwick, that's the Brandon Perkins Invitational right there. But I'd like to have seen them on a Tennessee River. That's not Pickwick. I feel like Pickwick's just gotten beat up really bad.
Yeah.
It's starting to
Like
show. With the carp is really starting to make an influx there. You're starting to slowly see it kind of do the Kentucky Lake thing. Um, I would like to see them go Gunnersville or go to Wheeler. Wheeler's fishing good.
yeah, and I think
Um,
aren't they restricting their field to like 80 or 100 guys too? I mean, they're not huge, so I
mm-hmm.
mean, there's a bunch of other lakes in Alabama to go, not just Tennessee River lakes either, right? But
Yeah. Hartwell gets a lot of pressure too. I might like to see maybe not a Hartwell on there, but I like Florida.
Hartwell seems to not be bothered by the pressure.
And I think that's because those fish are so nomadic there. They depend on that blueback herring and stuff like that. They roam a lot. They don't just sit on one ledge for 2 months out of the year, get beat up. They move around.
I think St. John's in the fall. I remember hearing some stories from like September, October, when they had a BFL regional there a couple years ago that like
Mm-hmm.
Justin Kimmel did well on again. It sounded like there was some fantastic topwater fishing that a lot of the top anglers. So
Yes.
that could be actually a sleeper from a live standpoint. St. John's River in the fall.
Yeah. So Travis asked, is Kentucky Lake good enough to have a 100 boat national tournament? It is 100% good enough. If
I
you
mean, yeah,
had that,
the
if you
Toyotas
did,
last year, right? It was a good event.
our buddy Adams, Bart, he smoked them like big smallmouth. I can tell you if they would do a late fall, like last week, October, 1st of November, the amount of awesome topwater fishing and smallmouth fishing would be insane. It would make for, it wouldn't be a live scoping event. You got guys running and gunning, or you do it mid-February, early March. Really would spread that.
Yeah. So
Personally, I hope
qualifying.
everybody thinks Kentucky Lake stinks, and that just allowed me to actually catch some
Yeah.
brownfish.
So my understanding, NPFL qualification is I don't think you can just register, but you just have to submit an application, and then if you got the money, they'll take
You're
you.
in. Yeah. I think that you got to at least submit a resume and some other
Yeah, I mean
stuff, and they're
it's
just
not
not
like
going to
just
take.
first come first serve, but if you can, yeah, they kind of want to just see a resume and have a conversation with the anglers to make sure you're kind of legit and serious, and then
Yeah,
yeah,
they're not taking Randy Flowers or anything. Well, Actually, they might take Randy Flowers, but Jimmy Dale that changes oil down at the quick stop, he's only fished one tournament in his life. They're probably going to bat an eye at.
Right. Anything else? NPFL. I think they're well positioned to keep prospering. Looks
Right.
like Patrick Walters might win the Lanier event, and he's leading with by 15 ounces going into tomorrow. So I guess there's live coverage tomorrow of the final event on Lanier. Uh,
Maybe he'll buy himself a nice pair of shorts afterwards.
so there is that. So if you guys are interested, check it out. I always forget, but all right. So we talked to NPFL.
Yeah, and like five or
let's
six
let's sneak
grand
one
entry
more
fees.
small topic in here before I open some more baits here. So we had that whole, we're not going to open the front facing sonar can of worms here, but in response to the front facing sonar, Bassmaster came out with their Bass Technology Committee.
Hmm.
So they had this whole press release, basically said, we're not doing anything now, but we've got a group of anglers and bass officials that are going to like interview everybody and submit data, and they're going to figure out how much impact and top 10 and checks cash that and percentage of fish caught on front facing sonar and all this stuff. I guess it's okay to like collect the data, but it seems like a bit of a pacifier to me at this point.
Yeah.
But
So here's a little fact for you. Who, or maybe you can answer, who is the only angler to make a first or second place finish that did not use forward facing sonar this year? Or
Rush
in the
didn't
tournament.
use it at all.
Didn't use it in the
Like didn't
tournament.
have it on their boat.
They had it on their boat. They didn't have it turned on. Didn't use it to aid in their finish.
In an Elite Series event.
Yeah.
I mean, the Sabine, probably Brock Mosley.
Little Rich got it. Mark Menendez, second place. Same thing. Never used it during the tournament.
But I
And
think,
yeah. And so I
I mean,
found that out because of your data committee actually put it in front of them. So this is the only guy that
yeah,
we
I mean,
know
it
of
didn't
for
seem like it
sure.
was much of a factor for Brock Mosley and Sabine. I watched a fair amount of that live
Yeah,
coverage.
I think Brock didn't use it hardly at all. You know,
I mean, if he was, it was probably more like scanning to look at some of those underwater posts and
right.
making sure he was making good casts or maybe watching for bait. I don't think he was necessarily like
Yeah.
casting at fish.
So the story Mark told me is he used it in practice and it was jacking him up because he's fishing these cypress knees and he kept seeing all these fish swim and he found out was catfish spawning. And when he would beam over there, the bass would run out of there. So he said, "You know what? I'm going old school. I'm turning it off. I'm either going to hero or zero," and it worked out for him.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah, Band-Aid, pacifier. I don't know if this is going to do anything. I still think, personally, I think we need to put like some kind of cap on technology, limit the
Yeah,
screens, limit something. Like
I'm for that.
bass boats are crazy expensive. Like we gotta do something to like just using the old COVID term, like what is it? The cut off the curve or whatever we called it, right? Like
Yeah, the
slow down
curve
the
that kept
curve or
growing.
whatever. Like it's a this like people start putting like 16-inch units on their boats, and if that becomes the new norm, like if we're trying to grow the sport and make it, I mean, it's not accessible, but if we keep moving the ladder and it's just like crazy. I think at some point we got to do something, whether it's 4 screens or 60 inches or whatever. Like I think there's got to do something there.
Right.
um
Sorry, Kirk. I'll talking to my mic more. Yeah, so I'm for that. I'm totally for technology. It's like though there's something about like yesterday going fishing with Jerry.
yes, flatten the curve, that's what I
We
was thinking
just
of.
found some bait and made casts and didn't stare at a screen and boom they'd blow up and you use your natural kind of instincts and kind of figure out a little bit of a pattern. And then every now and then you get surprised by one you're covering some water just looking and bam you run into a giant smallmouth. I mean that's still exciting to me. I
Yeah,
like scoping and stuff like that, but there's got to be some limitations. One on a financial end because all the guys that want to grow up and do this, you're looking, I gotta have 3 HDS 12s. I've got to have a humminbird, and then I got to have a live scope, and then you've got $15,000 before you've put gas in the boat that costs you $70,000. I think screen limitation's good. I'm hoping that, and I'm not Randy on this. You know, I'm for forward facing sonar, but I think one unit, one transducer. That's it. And maybe no one's talked about this. Maybe there's no rotary accessories. You know what I mean? Where you can line your because the skill part in forward facing sonar, to me, the hardest part is being able, and Matt Robertson's so good at this, being able to work a bait and keep your transducer focused on the bait. When you got that, I don't even know what they call turret or whatever, you can just move the turret and you're always on it. I think turret's got to go.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
Yeah. Bring back the A-rig.
Absolutely.
Put a cap on the technology a little bit. Just rein in a little bit. Anyways, but yeah, overall, I'm still for it. Like, actually, so what I was gonna say is this last weekend, the MEA weekend we had, I was fishing out of my buddy's Legend, super nice boat. He's got a Fortrex on it. He's got 3 like pretty old, whatever the first year they had touch 9s.
Mm-hmm.
He's got like a bent, like his structure scan looks like a banana. So you know it's not real. Like, so I was like scanning around, like I think those are some rocks, and like fishing in like his front depth finder, just 2D. So like, and we caught smallies on football jigs, and it was a little refreshing. But when it was windy, it was really missed spot lock big time.
Yeah. I think
And
spot
then
locks helped a
you
lot
know,
of
like
guys.
if I had either my 360 or my live scope, we would have caught way more smallies, I'm sure. But
You know, dude, I remember ledge fishing without spot lock, without a GPS, and hey, there's toss the marker buoy. There they are, toss the buoy, and you really aren't seeing fish. You're just marking bait where it should be.
honestly, now thinking about it, I wish if he had a buoy, I don't know if he did, but if he did, I should have thought to use it because like we were fishing some like kind of big rock flat humps, and like when I caught a 4-pounder, it would have been nice to kick over the buoy and at least try to keep the boat in the same spot and then try to repeat those casts. So, I mean, I always used to keep a buoy in my boat.
Dude,
So
the buoys more for me was always more to where to cast. Yeah, I didn't really want
well,
to
it gives
mark
you a
the
reference
fish.
point, right? If
Just
anything,
need a
like
reference
you
point.
could be marking like the top of a hump or the tip of a point, or a lot of times when I was like before I had spot lock or anything like that, if I was fishing a weed line or a big flat or something where it was like I was offshore enough where it would be hard to triangulate.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I hooked a good one, I would just kick my buoy in. Then knew I could pin my boat basically right next to the buoy, and then I could remake that cast to that inside turn or that point or whatever. So
Mm-hmm.
there's definitely different ways to use it, but basically you could almost use it in an old school spot lock. It's like, okay, I dropped my buoy. Now if I keep my boat next to the buoy, I can
Mm-hmm.
try to repeat my cast, right? So
Absolutely.
yeah. All right.
Next
Whatnot
box of
option
baits.
number 1.
Yep, this is the first one I ever did. And I do want to say something. If you're in the chat and you participate and whatnot, I really appreciate it. I'm just trying to move some baits, and we'll get cooler stuff.
I do think this winter I will probably try Whatnot because it seems pretty nice that you can still stream to YouTube at the same time, although vertical.
It's
But
very disturbing.
right, so it still would give me an opportunity to hang out with you guys. And
I would
then
love to figure out how like you could join in, and vice versa, because obviously there's some stuff that guys like you, I get stuff. I'm like, I don't know a whole lot about this, but Rich, but oh yeah, we use that
sure,
up here and this and that. So
that would be cool. But I definitely got like so I could like piecemeal these baits or bring them to a swap meet, but like I may not make any money selling them on Whatnot, but I could move them and then we could have a conversation and hang out and
yeah,
make it entertaining.
absolutely.
So I got maybe like some older reels that I'm culling out, and I was like, yeah, I could put them on Facebook Marketplace, but probably be more fun to see if somebody, it's a
Oh
viewer,
yeah,
like.
I could write a novel on Facebook Marketplace selling a vehicle. Absolutely one of the worst experiences
Yeah.
of my
Then you
life.
don't
And
have
I
to worry
didn't
about.
learn my lesson the first time, so I did it a
Is
second
this still
time.
available? Respond 30 seconds. Yes, it is. Never hear from them again.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
got the
Let's see. Where
cash,
do we start
bro.
here?
I only
All right.
got
So the
5
first,
grand.
this is the. So let's see. Well, let me try to remember what I ordered. So I think I bid on this first. I think
Yes,
this was the
custom
first bait
painted
that I
mag
bid on.
draft. And you
So
can
you got
see
a
the
custom painted mag draft. Maybe give the guys a. I don't remember who did these or.
Mark Restivo painted those. And I got those from Simmons or Dance Sporting Goods. Dude, that sucker. I'm telling you, Rich, you can probably tell him now, it looks amazing in person via what you're putting on the stream. Like, it
It
looks
still looks
good
pretty
on
good on the
stream.
stream. And actually, the mag draft. I actually caught some pretty nice fish after I broke my native gill, and I've had the mag draft's a good bait. I catch a lot of fish on it. Like
Mm-hmm.
it casts easy. You don't need a giant rod. A jig rod does just fine.
Yep.
It gets pound and a half, 2 pound bites. It gets bigger than average bites. You can skip it really well. The other thing I did with mine this last weekend, I just put I used a bobber stop and a tiny little bullet weight just on the nose, just so I could like cast it and reel it and just work it a little further. Didn't seem to impede the action at all. Mag draft's a good bait. I'm not a Megabass lover, but I do like the mag draft.
Yeah, I don't hate on the mag draft. It's a great bait. Then you got a good deal. You can see the price I paid for it. It's on the back of the package.
So cool. But this will definitely get thrown around next year, and it will get bit.
You know what's
And
cool about mag draft is I would say you have way less gizzard, shad, and threadfin. I do, and you throw that sucker up north and they just crush it. Like that, it kind of proves that if you don't have shad, they still bite shad profile
yeah,
baits.
we don't. And I throw the white one all the time, and there's nothing that's white, and it's like I don't know, kind of like throwing a white swim jig. See here.
Thanks for joining, Clay. Always appreciate you in the stream.
Meet halfway for a rod from Wisconsin. From uh, yeah, some reels. Let's see. Plays here. All right, all right. So then I think, hmm, I think I went.
Blade
I think there's
baits.
only 3 things that I bought,
Yes.
and I think this was the second thing. So the way Whatnot works, I think I ended up paying $3.75 for shipping on the first bait,
Right.
roughly. And it was whatever I paid $20 for the mag draft, or 15 or 18 or
Yeah.
something,
Yeah.
or
Like
whatever.
yeah.
So it was like about the cost of a regular mag draft. I got the custom painted one for about that plus shipping. So then when he had this smaller plopper, what is this, the 75? And the old yellow box. So most people that are into ploppers will tell you that the older River to Sea yellow box were the ones that are legit, and the ones in the red
Mm-hmm.
box, they still catch fish, but they're not as good as the yellow ones. And I think you had this for like $7.
Yeah.
And so I bid on this. Nobody else was bidding on it. And then I think shipping for this one was only like 99 cents or $1 or
Yeah.
something, because I
So
already
what
had
it
it. I'd already
does.
won one auction.
Yep.
So Whatnot already like starts combining them.
Correct.
And so then I only had to so then I was like, once I had one thing, then I was like, oh, well, this was a pretty good deal. It's only $1 for shipping. So I got this bait for like less than $10.
Yeah. I forgot what they are new. $12, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's how it works. So when you're a seller on Whatnot, you'll enter in the weight of that item. And so how USPS works, if you're less than a pound, you're gonna get the best rate of shipping. So if you're buying hard baits, dude, you can buy 9 or 10 hard baits and you're gonna get very cheap shipping. But once you get over a pound, you know, it's automatically priority mail. But
Yep.
there's different auctions that I'll explain it to you.
All right.
It's pretty
So
simple.
then you got one of your late auctions. You got a couple of these poor boy blade baits.
Dude, I'd never have seen them ever.
I don't know much about them. I think I've seen them because Poor Boy has done different things. But like, what did I pay? $4 for these?
Yeah.
And I think at this point it cost me 0 to add the shipping on these. So I figured
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, a 3/4 ounce blade bait in silver, which everybody knows that blade baits catch them in the winter and early spring. But the downside of a blade bait is you're going to lose them. You're going to stick them in rocks. You're going to stick them in a stump. If you're fishing them right,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to get hung up. So for $2 a piece, it was a no-brainer. Like, hey, you can always have a couple blade baits rolling around.
For your sake, I hope that doesn't turn into like the best blade bait ever, because I don't know if you'll ever be able to find any more of them. Surely somebody's got some.
Yeah, I guess just post it in the Instagram chat, right?
Yeah.
We can do a bait ID. All right. So then you said the goodies. So Baitman threw in a used, or at least it was tied on at one point
Yeah.
because it's got the knot on it. But this is this is the spot sticker, I think, right?
Yep, spot sticker. That's the Baitman special. That's not the mini me. That's what they call the shad head. And I was thinking, I gotta get one to Rich. You know, it imitates a perch up there, so.
Yeah, I wish I would. I was catching them on a spinnerbait last weekend, and I didn't have very many spinnerbaits with me. I bet you this thing would have got slammed. So,
Dude, they run so smooth, so smooth. I think that one's
yeah,
half
it's a good looking
ounce.
spinnerbait. Cool. Thank you very much. So I think what the lesson is here, if you become a regular whatnot customer, you might find out with extra stuff in your box.
This is true. I told guys last stream I got so much random stuff laying around that I'm just like, you know what? If a guy spends a little bit of money, I'll throw him
Did
something
you end up
extra in
throwing
there.
in those new 6 cents baits into people's
Yeah,
boxes?
yeah. So I got everything packaged up today. I won't be able to get to the post office till Monday. I tried to ship the next day, but I was working. I stayed up really late
Do you
last time.
have
I'm
any? Do
really
you have
tired.
one of those, or do you throw them
Yeah,
all in there
yeah. Let me find them.
while you're looking? But this is an Ignite Baits 4-inch Kentucky Lake Special. Looks like a good A-rig swim bait is what it looks like.
Yeah, very good. You can also put those on a little round ball head.
Yeah.
Um, I figured you might like the theme of the box.
Hopefully, I do get to throw a Minnesota rig around a little bit here in the near future. So
Yeah, here's the
it is a
6
Jane Juice
one.
spinner bait.
Yeah, Ryan Coleman did those special for me, so he called it the Baitman special. He didn't want to step on a 6 cents Jane Juice too. But here's the new worm. This is called the Judge. If you look at the profile of this worm, a couple of guys on Whatnot, I'm sending some of these in your box. Um, it's like a soft plastic fluke, and then it's got this hook style tail, very soft. It's got a hook slot on the bottom, but the really cool part is right here where your hook comes out the top. It's got that little fin slash slot that keeps it kind of weightless, keeps the point kind of pushed down in there so it don't hang up on grass. Really, really cool deal. Very similar to the old Trixie Shad. My
Yeah.
man Hellabass pointed out from Reaction Innovations, which was a cool bait, but didn't get a lot of love. I think the Trixie
So do you
Shark's
see this
throwing.
more as a traditional swimming worm, or using this more as a topwater swimming worm? I mean,
For
obviously, it can be
me,
both, but where you think it's gonna like
I think it
excel?
really will excel like fishing it with a little bitty 16th ounce weight on it, like burning it above grass in Florida, Seminole, places like that,
Like
or
a skinny dipper
yeah, kind of like a skinny dipper.
or
But
a
I think it could
Big
be,
Easy.
yeah, Big Easy, very similar. I think it'll also be really good, believe it or not, for brush pile fishing. That dadgum Strike King worm, cutter worm, for some reason in a
Mm-hmm.
brush pile with a little heavier weight, when it's just falling straight down, they like that vibration of the tail. So it's a really unique design. Again, it's like an old school bait that has been made before, but I like the ribs on it. I like my rib. I like my
I
worm
heard Ben
ribs.
say, I think he was on BTL, and he said there's like I don't remember what the number was, but it was a crazy number of new baits coming out next year for like 60 baits or something. It was like a 30, like it was like he didn't get into specifics, but he said like they're basically coming out with piles of stuff still next year.
Yes. Um, I've talked to Casey and Ben, and we communicate quite often, and they're wanting to fill voids in every spot. They want the company to grow to, I'm not going to say pure fishing levels, but you look at Strike King, they've got about everything filled: crappie, panfish, and so that's what I want people to realize. They're not just going to expand just the bass line, but the panfish line, some trout stuff I think may be coming. I mean, if you go to a store in Colorado, you buy different stuff than what you find at Guntersville, Alabama. And let's be honest, tournament bass fishing is still a small percentage of fishing sales, and you can cover all your bases when you got panfish and crappie and walleye and stuff like that. So it's a good R&D.
Yeah, it feels like 6 cents
Yes, Tom, you're
is
correct.
basically plan is to come out with a bait in every category and every niche, but just make it look cooler and sexier than everybody else does.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like their average paint job, their average soft plastic colors, just in general are better than everybody else's. I think
Right.
to some degree. Like,
Right. And that's not
um,
knocking anybody else. That's their niche. When
yeah,
I talk about 6 cents, at work, I always wear this hat. People are like, dude, their paint jobs are so good. That used to be Lucky Craft still. Man, I love them Lucky
yeah.
Craft colors. Now they're all meh. But if you got a niche, exploit it.
So then we got a finesse F4
Yep. And that's a special.
in
That's a special color.
Good Luck Charm exclusive color. So I've definitely caught fish on the, what is it, the 70 flat 75s, right? Is that what it is?
Mm-hmm.
And this is similar but a little different, right?
Yep. Dive's just a hair deeper.
Okay.
Got the micarta bill a little bit bigger, not my munch, but it's got a knocker in it, and I do like that.
Cool. All right. So that's the whatnots. 6 cents is ADM, American domestic market. All right. Let's see. Back to bass talk. Uh, let's talk about the Bass Open changes. Let's at least be
Sure.
positive. Let's talk about some
All
things
right.
that actually seem to be going in the right direction.
Put some more money in people's pockets.
Yeah. So, not going to read through the press release, but basically the entry fees would go up $200, but that all that $200 is going to the payout. And so I did watch a Jamie Bruce video, and basically the payout went from like, based on a 225 boat field, went from like 70 to 71% to like almost 74%. So it doesn't sound like a lot, but they basically added 3% right into the anglers' pockets. And
Mm-hmm.
let's face it, the open payouts weren't great. So anything you add is definitely, and now it seems like and they also go a little deeper. Now they're going to 45 places, which is only 5 spots, but like guys like Panger say that live in that 35 to 50 range, like you get one or two more $4,000 checks a year. That's a big deal for some of these
It
guys.
is.
So, and then on top of that, they basically added $100,000 in AOI payouts, or they added 90. I think there was 10,000 AOI payouts just to the top guy this year. Now the top 10 guys all get money. I think the top guy gets like 45,000 and it trickles down. So basically if you make the elites, you're going to have little seed money. If you win it, you're
Yeah.
basically going to have your entry fees paid by
Mm-hmm.
the winnings, and then everybody else is going to have a little something, which I think is a good move. So basically they added over $100,000. They extended the payouts. It's good. A couple other kind of meaningful changes. They went from 30 days off limits of being on the water down to 2 weeks, which is probably good for I guess not necessarily for the elite or the EQ guys, but it's good for the single division guys, the guys that are going to
Right.
fish one division, right? Guides, tournament anglers. I'm seriously considering fishing the Division 3 next year, so like that would make it a lot easier for me if I want to fish some other tournaments in my area and not have to be
Right.
off the water. Like if I wanted to fish a BFL 3 or 4 weeks before the opens, then that would still be an option.
Yeah. Shout out to a friend of mine that I got to know here on Kentucky Lake. He's in the Coast Guard and he's moved several times. I believe he was the highest finishing non EQ guy. His name is Kyle Metzger, and
Hmm.
I think and so Kyle, his first year fishing the opens, he did awesome. And I want to shout out Kyle. He's a great fisherman, even better person. And so if you get to watch this Kyle, or somebody says, "Hey, I heard you on Hellabass," he come from here, great guy, but he did really really good. And I think those guys need to be a little rewarded as well.
Yeah, and the payout increase actually even helps the single division guys too, to
Yep.
some degree, which is nice. And then the no information goes from 5 days up to 14. How enforceable is that? But that seems like a right step in the right direction. People hiring guides, getting information. At least you make it out to 2 weeks. Things that are happening 2 weeks before practice, which means 3 weeks before the tournament, probably are not likely to hold up
Right.
much. So that's probably a move in the right direction. How
Yeah.
enforceable is it? Hopefully people follow it.
Yeah.
But
It's kind of one of the deals. It's, it's hard to trace cash. I'm not saying everyone's doing it. We all know guys get help even at the top level, but it's when they're getting help is the key. If Marty Stone, which he probably needs all the help he can get, let's be honest. If he was to call
you
me,
did. So speaking of that, you did hear that he got let go from the MLF broadcast team.
yeah, he did. And I like Marty as a person, but he's a little dry and he's very repetitive. And I like him. He's a good dude. I got to work with him when he was on the Lucky Craft pro staff and Classic Patterns. But, they needed a change, and I think Marty probably understands that. I don't doubt he's really mad about it. He kind of got grandfathered into that. Yeah, the off limits deal. If a random angler calls me tomorrow to ask about Kentucky Lake in March, I mean, I can give him some general information, but dude, these lakes change so fast. Now, what they're trying to limit is guys getting info 2 weeks or prior.
Yeah, like
And
there's a school
yeah,
on this hump, and in
those
six
fish
days you're
may not
fishing a
move.
tournament. They
Yeah,
might still be there.
yeah,
Like so. Trying to think what else is happening. It sounds like going forward, they're actually like right now the 5 days of practice, which I know a lot of the anglers wanted to see it 4 3 days, a little bit more like the elites, mirrored up like that. But these contracts and bids and RFPs, right, requests
mm-hmm.
for proposals with these cities, they work on those 2+ years in advance, and those
Yeah,
are based on how many anglers, how many co-anglers, how many nights of hotels they're going to be at. So Trip, not Trip, Hank Weldon did say
yep,
that the new RFPs that are going out for whatever year, 24, 25, 26, are going with a reduced practice schedule. So in a year or two, we will probably see it go down to 3 or 4 days for opens for official practice.
yeah. So I'm going to tell you right now the reason there's not a Bass Open on Kentucky Lake, and it was going to happen in prime time, is because the Marshall County Tourism Board did not respond to the Bassmaster email. Left them on red, and that source come to me for someone who is there, not at Bass, and I'm like, what do you mean y'all didn't respond to them? Well, we had already had MLF schedule a tour event, non BPT, whatever, tackle warehouse tour, and we just didn't know what to do or say. I'm like, I would take the Open over that any day of the week. You know how many anglers you got, co-anglers coming. I mean, dude, you want to get the lake back on the scene. I'm just gonna call it like I said. I think there's some ducket shenanigans going on in that deal. Like, oh, they called you. Well, we'll just move our
Yeah.
business down to
Our
Alabama.
headquarters is right down the road.
Yeah, how would
Right.
Boyd like that for Bass to come his now business backyard and more eyes be on a Bassmaster Open than Tackle Warehouse or whatever? I don't know. They change it every year.
Yeah,
Might
and
be
I
a
guess the other big
Tampax
thing
tour next year.
is they are doing live coverage on Bassmaster.com for all
Mm-hmm.
9 opens.
Yep.
So that's going to be a big thing for guys, and that helps the EQ guys. That helps the people fishing single divisions. Uh, Step in the right direction for sure. And there's a lot of people that I get to feel, and I hear this in the chats, and I see people talking about it. That to some degree, I think there's more interest in following the lives of the opens than there is for the
Mm-hmm.
elites.
I think it's like so Milliken, huge deal this year. Not gonna lie. Ben's my buddy. I rooted for him every tournament. I wanted to see him prove the haters wrong, and he did. But Ben's a great fisherman, but so many new anglers I'm seeing post on Facebook and some of these fishing groups and stuff like the Six Sense page. They don't never really fished, or they couldn't tell anybody else that fished the Open. They're watching Ben, and they start to you see them start talking about other guys. So they're following. They're watching a guy chase his dream, and got a lot of new eyeballs on this thing. And I'm telling you, there'll be another person or two next year that guys start to relate to, and they're going to follow. I followed Ben, I followed John Garrett, and the two guys I wanted most to make it, they made it, and that's why I follow the Opens.
Good comment, Tim.
Damn.
Cool. Yeah, and I guess there's a couple other minor tweaks and changes, but I think that's the gist of it. And overall, I think I haven't heard anybody really complain or knock it. I'm sure Blockit will figure out a way to why it's ruining the sport. But
I'm banned from commenting on Blockit on
I don't watch
Facebook.
it, so I don't comment. But I just feel like I see his like posts and I see his titles, and I don't typically watch them. But
It always cracks me up that he posts in today's video, but he posts 3 videos a day. So I'm like, it really confuses me because I'm like, I'll say today, but this is the 3rd one today. How about today's 3rd video I made up?
yeah, I do want to not forget that this stream is presented by Arsenal Fishing and boosted by Powerhouse Lithium. If I didn't mention that earlier.
Thank you, Powerhouse
Um,
Lithium and Arsenal Fishing, for supporting this fine gentleman.
yeah, there are codes for both in the description if you want to take a look. But I will tell you that the Powerhouse Lithium, when my motor died, I was able to go 4.5 miles on the Mississippi River to get back to the ramp with my 36-volt trolling motor batteries.
Yeah, the old never starts probably wouldn't have helped me out back in the day. I tell you,
It's
that's
a
a
good point.
bad feeling though.
All Blockett's missed cuts give him plenty of time to do content.
Damn. I feel like we should do like Comedy Central roasts.
All right,
Let's get them baits out.
let's
Let's
do
get
another
that.
baits. What do we think? Omnia or Omnia Craft?
I want to see Omnia Craft
Omnia Craft.
because I really like TK. Good dude. Good dude.
All right, let's kind of level of tape we have here.
Yeah, I need to see that juice that Darius is using.
Upstream Hella or downstream? I don't know what that's in reference. I might have missed the joke on that.
Oh no, when you're trolling, it's
Oh,
just your
it was
battery.
a little bit of both. It was like upstream to a chute that was downstream, but then it was into the wind. So, packing peanuts, gross. TK, come on, you're
Yeah,
better than
that's
this.
like the
What
candy
is
corn of
this?
shipping
Is
stuff.
this?
What if they
They
were
do seem like the
custom painted
environmentally friendly
packing
ones that if you poured
peanuts?
water on them, they would melt. But not happy about having to deal with these peanuts. TK. All right, look at this little box. This is fun.
I need a chair sponsor. Ooh,
All right, so we got one of his newest stickers, Scope or
scope or
Die.
die. I like it.
I've actually got a T-shirt with this on it. It's pretty cool. Did
If
you
y'all
get
hear
peanuts,
some,
Darius?
y'all hear some weird noises, they're doing demolition derby right over here by my house, because that's what we do here in Benton, Kentucky on
It's
Friday
like a little gift
nights.
box. So I feel like I'm opening some fine chocolates. And then we got another one of his new stickers here, little slaps. Might have to put that next to the Dream Team on one of my mugs here. All right, so we got 2 baits here. Big M balsas.
I'm glad to see
So
you
we
getting
got
into balsa
a
training.
square bill. Is that a 1.5 or that 2.5? I'm not good on my. This is basically a big M square bill balsa. What is this? TK, since you're TK, how dare you watch Kevin's stream? 2.5. So this is a hand carved 2.5 balsa square bill
That looks great, by the way.
with a
I
very
love I
classic
love the body on
shad,
that.
very clean. But it's simple, but there's a ton going on as far as like the layers of colors and the scales and all that kind of stuff. But Let's see the little TK signature on the bottom. So that's one bait. And then I want to. This is a Bagley creation. I think
Kind of
it's a
got like a
Killer Bee 2.
yeah, yeah. Really looks good. I like that thumbnail lip, man. Great color. That's a Kentucky Lake color too.
So I'll give it kind of here's a I don't know what I don't know. There's an actual Bagley's, but you can see kind of
Mm-hmm.
the inspiration of the body shape and the different lip here. But Bagley B3 ish, he says. I don't know. I'm not. I am not super dialed in to the Bagley game as far as like knowing all my models and all that stuff. But you can definitely see the
Yeah,
shape and the
them old school
inspiration.
guys know them so well, but that Killer Bee model is really good. It's great stunt bait. You know,
Now I can add it to my growing collection of.
it's getting bigger. That's what she said.
All right. These scope can you get? I don't. These stickers may or may not be on the website, but so all right.
Well done. That's a fine box of balls.
Are we saying this is a diving Killer B2?
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
There's a deeper diving one too that's got a more of an extended lip. I actually got one. I'll show you. You can make it tell. I think Darius sent this to me. If I can reach it. If I can reach it. I'm vertically challenged.
Yeah, Gator. It's gonna snow here tomorrow, I think. So yes, that's why I'm wearing a beanie.
No, I can't get it down. I've got too much shit in the way. Pardon my French. I'm sorry. Chris, my favorite Bagley is a DB3. I like a DB3 and I like a Bossa B1. The old school Bossa B1s with the brass ties.
Yeah. Gramps was able to use the the Hellabass code to save on some chatterbait evos.
There you go. What is up, JT
They probably
Hickman?
use the Six Cents. Probably use Baitman's code for 6 cents, which should be in the description of Baitman's video.
Yeah, it's just Baitman. No tins, nothing.
Yeah, my method cranks actually do run. I've tested
Dude,
them. I've
if your
caught fish on
method
them.
cranks run, you've got gold. Really cool bait. I had several years ago, but I had that problem, man. I'd make 2 or 3 casts and they were just out to the side. Mm-hmm.
There's that too. The ones I basically went and fished them all at the pond, and the ones that didn't run, I sold on eBay.
So you're the guy selling those baits that don't run right.
High tomorrow in the 30s here. That's right.
Yeah, we're getting a cold snap this weekend. I think it's going to get in the low 20s at night.
All right. What else do we have? So the Angler Protection Committee that we didn't really touch on that. So the MLF comes out, BBT comes out, all these changes, and then there's this weird release that there's this Angler Protection Committee. So there's like an angler-led. I don't know. They're trying to get their voice together here because obviously they're not happy about 30 of their anglers losing their jobs. Essentially,
Right.
I don't think they're going to get anywhere. I could be wrong.
No. So I don't want to say anything I don't know of. Do the BPT anglers, do they have a contract with MLF, or is it as simple as you're qualified and you can pay your entries and you can fish? Because at that point, the fishermen are independent contractors and Boy Duckett can do as he wants to. And so I think it's a little too late to try to form a union. We've already had the PAA twice. And think about fishermen, and I hate to say it, and me and you do the same thing. They disagree a lot. Me and you, and that's fine. I mean, you can disagree on things. We're still going to be friends. But I mean, these guys, you get about 30 or 40 of them together, and it gets they roll in the dirt. It gets nasty, and one thing I
Yeah.
think always hurt the
I
PAA.
think
And then,
the 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 the, the wheel's already in motion at this point.
right.
And I don't think maybe there's a couple small concessions, but it's not like all of a sudden there's going to be 80 guys fishing in 2025. Like,
Yeah, now it's just too late to try to form a union. You know what I mean? Like I
yeah,
said, there's pros and cons to of a union. You know, the biggest knock is sometimes a union allows people that don't perform well to get the same benefits as people who are performing very well. Not
yeah,
calling
maybe Slick
anybody out of
Johnson
my
could
work.
save him, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Um,
The Alabama Bass Council. God dang it, I wanted Tennessee to beat their ass in that football game. Just so I could TikTok Slick Johnson. But anyway.
nice. Yeah, I mean, I wish them well. I hope they get some concessions. I just don't know that. The other thing is like, there's no motivation for the guys that are like solidly in the top perennial top 20, 30 AOIs, the Wheelers, the Canals,
Mm-hmm.
the Lucas, right?
Jordan
For them
Lee.
to stick their necks out, there's not. I mean, hate to say it, but I mean, I was actually pretty impressed that Jay Lee went on BPT
Mm-hmm.
and talked pretty candidly because, like, actually, there wasn't much for him to gain. Like, he's obviously a perennial top 5, top 10 AOI guy. He's got no worries about making the top 50 cut. Um, so yeah, I don't know. It's and it's clear that Boyd has no interest in listening to them. He basically said that in the press release that Bass Fan put out. Um, and I'll go say this: I as much as I don't like Boyd and don't like the way things have run at BPT, overall MLF, I don't want to see it fold. I don't think that'll be good for the industry.
I don't think so
So
either. Like, so where's your, again, I'm back to the grassroots guy. Got a guy in here who's won a regional. Brad Kell won one last year. Great dude. Just lives down the road from me. He's won a regional, won a boat. Where does the fishing industry go for grassroots if MLF goes? Do they have? I mean, there's a lot of guys that just love fishing those BFLs, whether it's they even aspire to make the All American or be a tour pro. It's you know, the entry fees,
yeah,
and
I
then
mean,
they did a good job at first. Man, Boyd cut them entry fees. They were like $300 a boater, and then went back down to like 200, and now it's gone up just a little bit. But I mean, I remember first time I fished boater was $150. I could afford that. I have way less money than I do now. Not that I'm really above poor, but I think you don't want that grassroots. That's one thing MLFFLW still has. It ain't perfect, but Bass has tried the ABAs and other stuff, and they at least here they do not get the draw that MLF does.
yeah. I mean, I don't. I think the bass industry will survive without the BPT, but I don't think it does well if the Toyotas and the BFLs disappear. So, all right, Omnia.
No,
Any guesses on what I would have recently bought at Omnia?
I do, but I don't want to run it for anybody else.
I also don't want to guess on who's leaving the BPT. All right. This was just kind of, I saw some things pop up here and I actually posted about this, but so not the right time of year at all. But I did grab a couple of these swamp lords. I got one poppin', one traditional.
You'd be getting you some
Um,
frogs.
it's not the right time of year, but I kind of wanted to get a look at them. Maybe do a little
I've heard
video to
some
kind
really
of look
good
at.
things about those.
Yeah.
Give me your first impression there, Rich.
So this is kind of nice. The packaging has a hole in it. You can actually touch the frog and feel how
Ooh.
soft they are. Um, I mean, they pass the eye test when you look at them like online. So I went with a natural red color. Why did they tape the legs in here? That is stupid.
Oh,
All right. So I went with the natural red. I catch a lot of fish on this Spro color in the bronze
dude.
eye.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit wider than a bronze eye, just first glance. Like this way, the profile's the same this way, but this way it's a little wider.
I like
Really
that the
soft.
legs don't look overly
Like
long.
it's the right feel. Like no red flags when you squish it there. Kind of a thin wire or a thin material skirt. This is definitely a thinner skirt than most of your frogs. If I have another frog out here somewhere.
Dang it! Now I'm gonna have to buy some to add to my
It
frog
actually reminds me
collection.
of these older swamp donkey legs that are real thin.
Mm-hmm.
Not, this is definitely a thinner rubber than your average Spro or Pad Crasher, which I don't have handy. Um, hooks really sharp. Um, it's covered up. I could see maybe wanting to tweak these hooks ever so slightly and open them up. I guess you'd have to fish it to see and how the hookups, but they are kind of. You'd have to fish it to see if do we have to worry about this like bunching up and like stabbing the side of the frog there versus hooking up. So that might be something where you might need to tweak the hook just an angle or two. But that's they've got a little like shrink band there to like keep the hooks. It's silent. There is no rattle. It is your typical like round inserted weight there. So I guess time will tell whether that's a durable solution or one that falls out. It says Swamp Lord on the bottom in Berkeley, but overall, like, can't wait
It
till the
looks like
ice
a
melts
decent
and try to
frog to
throw
me.
that.
I'm not a
Yeah,
frog expert like you. The way I fish a frog's totally different. But I
yeah,
will say that red brown is a sleeper color, man. I don't care
yeah.
if it's Spro. I've got a 6 cents frog that color. I've got a jackal frog gavacho that's like brown red. I do so good on that color.
So I wanted to get this one in the walking frog because I thought this was a pretty cool looking color. I forget what they call this color.
Ooh, I like that. It's kind of
Yeah.
like
Uh,
you could say that's a
Omnia was out of
shad
this in the
imitator.
walking frog.
Mm-hmm.
I could probably pull it up here. That wouldn't be that hard.
It's kind of a gill imitator, could be a shad imitator. I do like on that. There's just not a solid white belly, which is
Yeah.
fine, but they actually extend a little coloration down on the bottom. I do think bass see more of a frog than we realize as it's sloshing through the water.
Let's see what this is. Atomic is what it's called.
Huh.
Yeah. So yeah. So I was pretty excited. I thought that was a good looking frog. Mix it up a little bit. Um. So I would say similar soft. I actually feel like this might even hook up better than some popping frogs. But
I wish Kentucky Lake would get grass back.
they actually
My
put
frog
popping on
issues
the
would
bottom
go
of
up.
this as if I couldn't tell. But I guess for the people that really
Dude,
don't know, it's on the bottom of the frog.
look, Hellabass, maybe I'm just on social media more, but there's so many people in this world that don't know the difference between a popping and a walking frog, and they couldn't tell you if they look at it.
But overall, they got some decent looking colors. And they got everything you need. There's the copperhead, green pumpkin, maverick. Pretty
That,
good looking
that bluegill
bluegill.
color looks good.
Let's look at this maverick. Is that just black and then uh, that's not maverick there. I feel like
I've
Omni
always
doesn't have
done
the
good
right
with just a
Omni doesn't have
white.
the right belly colors for some of these frogs, but for a $10 frog, it seems pretty legit. They
Yeah, I
seem like
think
they have
that's a
quite a
good
few.
price.
You can use the code scrolling on the bottom of the screen if you want to grab some frogs during non-frog season. All right, so what else was in the box? I grabbed a couple of the highly anticipated Z-Man Evos, Chatterbait Elite. So these are the $10 chatterbaits that came out at ICAST.
They're
Swamp Lord
basically
also came out. So I got
basically
a
their
3/8
jackhammer.
ounce spot remover and a 3/8 ounce green pumpkin. So let's open one up. So what do you get for $10? I think the hope at iCast was, right, for many of us is like, can I get most of the features of all the features I want from a jackhammer, right? For $10 instead of
Mm-hmm.
18. All right. So you got pretty decent looking snap there. No issues with the snap that I see. This has the original chatterbait blade, so it depends on your thoughts on the original chatterbait blade. A pretty good looking head, a much nicer looking head than your traditional, like the original OG chatterbait. The 3/8
Mm-hmm.
ounce is on the bottom like a jackhammer. You do have a wire tied skirt, which is one of the knocks I think of like the Elite, right? The one that was Tackle Warehouse
Yeah.
exclusive doesn't have a tied skirt, I don't think.
And I do not
Um,
believe a Thunder Cricket has a tied skirt either.
you've got a double bait keeper. You've got a single barb and then a molded keeper. So it's not the double barb of a jackhammer, but you've got a double keeper. Um, this has got the cover on the hook, but I see what it say about the hook here.
So it
Custom
looks like
five
a.
out custom 5/0 heavy duty needlepoint black nickel hook. So it doesn't say that it's Mustad or a Gamakatsu but it looks like a little bit of flex there. It's not, but I mean, for $10, I'm definitely going to throw some of them, see what they're all about. The green pumpkin one here does have a green pumpkin blade.
What's your preference on blade color on a bladed jig?
I guess that kind of depends. Like, I feel like a lot of the jackhammers do a good job. I know I like that height gill, which has like
Mm-hmm.
like a watermelon purple orange skirt, and then it's got a gold blade. That does a really good job on our perch lakes up here. So I'm not like, hey, it always has to be black, it always has to be silver, it always has to be gold. I think the depending on the fishery and what I'm fishing in the forage, I'm okay with different blade colors.
Yeah. So the one that's my favorite right now, and dude, so I was really upset when this smallmouth broke me off because I'm at one more left. It's called Cold Shad. That's a JDM color, but the cool thing is that blade's a silver blade, but it's matte. It's almost like a
Sure.
gray, and it doesn't have a lot of flash. But dude, I think that's part of why sometimes that one gets bit because they're keying more in on that vibration than the flash of the blade. Then you can go vice versa and say, hey, on an overcast day, maybe you want that gold blade, you want that flash, but um, I just wish I
Yeah,
didn't
so
have to buy them
they've
from
kind of done
Japan.
the same thing here. So this one has like a green pumpkin purple gold fleck blade. This one's got kind of a copper blade. Black and Blue's got a black blade. This one's got a copper. This has got more of a gold blade. This one's got kind of a electric shad has like a glitter silver.
I like the electric shad one.
And their lava craw has an orange blade.
Mm-hmm.
So
I would say the other jackhammer color I've done really, really well with, probably my favorite, is the green pumpkin with the red. I think it's hot
mhm.
craw. I'm not a fire craw guy. I just feel like everyone starts throwing it, and I like that more natural. Yep, cold shad's got a little pink stripe in it, and the
I do
white's
want
not
to
a
try the
bright white.
Chatterbomb, which is the XBS branded
Mm-hmm.
Z-Man bait. So I'll probably grab some of those, do a comparison. Hook's pretty darn sticky. Like that's a good hook. Now, how does it hold up? Is it sharp? Does it stay sharp? I think if I have any plastics here that we can thread on here to see how this bait keeper works.
It looks like I like that 6 inch juggle minnow. That's what I had on the other day. Something like that. That's kind of a narrow head where
Mm-hmm.
you really got to line it up right. I'm not sure how that hook keepers it could bust it, but if you want something like a spunk shad that's bigger and fatter, I think it definitely would hold it very well.
I'm just gonna throw like a little Senko tail on here just for Somebody said the chatterbomb has an enormous hook in it, though. I guess I don't know what that means. All right, so we'll just
It means you're
got
gonna
like a
snag
3-inch
every stump.
dinger here. We'll see how it. I mean, seems pretty legit. Like what on
Yeah.
easy? She's pretty locked on there. Like,
Honestly though,
yeah,
how
I don't
many
know.
trailers you really gonna go through on a chatterbait if you got it rigged up right?
Not very often, but
No.
seems passes the smell test. I have not heard. I've heard rumors about it coming up,
I think
but I
it's
don't
either
know anything
2024 or
specifically.
2025, TK.
Flippinoki says the chatterbomb comes in a white
It
with pink
it
color
does.
combo.
It does. Yeah. I was pissed. Um
What was that? Was that a Teckle?
Blade Walker, man. So I'd heard all these rumors about how these hooks were brittle and they'll break and whatnot. So I just flexed it and went, "Coom." There's more to that story, and I don't want to throw the guy from Tech under the bus, but he acted like, well, it's no big deal. We actually used a bunch of refurbished hooks for that, and I'm on
Gator
Facebook.
says the XPS only has a lead keeper only.
I'm on Facebook. So you knowingly use refurbished hooks, and it's okay for? Oh, kind of made me upset. Dude, I like those ones the dude sent me. Titty's Jig Works. Dude, he makes a good bladed jig.
Yeah.
And Sean makes some awesome looking colors too.
Tyler, are you streaming tonight? Are you doing the late night shift tonight? All right. What else? I think did I open all my baits? That's all I had.
You know, I never would have
They do have
thought
a
this.
pile of those Evos. If people want to check them on Omni, you can use the code on the bottom, and so you can basically get those chatterbaits for
Right.
$8.50 with the OMHB 23 October for the next few days.
Hellabass, I don't know how much you throw a bladed jig. You know, I've started throwing it more and more. I kind of keep one tied on, but they're starting to be kind of like crankbaits to me. As good as a jackhammer is, there's certain ones I bought that just outperform. Like
Sure.
the one that I broke off the other day, I've had it all year and it's caught fish every trip, and it runs, starts up, runs good thump. Broke me off, tied another one on, and this one like hunts too much. Like I'm reeling, and you just feel it just jerking, and I
Yeah.
had to get
I
my
had one like that
retrieve.
in my recent trip up north. It was like a chartreuse and white one. That thing was just constantly like just
Yeah,
it was
there's a
constantly
happy
blowing out.
there's a happy medium on them jackhammers. You find the right one that just hunts just a little bit, but tracks straight. Man, that's the one. You get one that doesn't hunt or hunts too much, it throws out of balance.
So what are your thoughts on the what's it called, Colby? That new chatterbait. It's not a chatterbait. It's got a weird name. It's a JDM. Have you seen it? What's it? Uh Tyler or
That
Jersey should be able to know what I'm talking
yeah, if
about.
Rick Bartz is in here, he probably knows too.
It's the Bass Puzzle grass piece.
I don't know if I've ever seen it. Let me
What?
Google this thing.
Where have you been, bait man?
Dude, I've been working a lot. Dude, I have not made a tackle warehouse order all year.
I don't even think you probably can only get it at the hookup, I'm guessing.
Of course. Haven't made an order there either. But Ben was nice to send me a bento box.
There
I
you
did
go.
not realize so many people collected those bento boxes and resold the baits. I'll look this thing up.
I thought it looked stupid. It looked like it would not come through grass at all when I looked at it. Kobe said he
Oh,
did pretty well on them and he's made some. So,
I got you. Hmm. It's almost like a
crossbreed.
short armed spinnerbait.
Yeah.
and they've replaced it with a acre shaker. If anybody knows what the acre shaker is.
So it's supposed to be all the rage, but I have not tried it. So Colby was going to hook us up and do a little giveaway on a future show with some of his homemade ones. So there you go. Learned something new today. The bass piece, the bass puzzle grass piece.
A piece of bass.
All right, 90 minutes. Do we anything else you want to talk? I will say I know you James Watson, one of those guys that you think should catch him better, but he was a pretty entertaining listen.
Right.
I know some people are fans of Luke Duncan, some are not. Luke didn't do a lot of talking. It was basically Watson ranting about Boyd Duckett. It's a pretty entertaining listen.
Yeah, I like James Watson, and so and I don't mean that negative. So you need to catch more fish. I like Watson, um, and he's caught fish, and I get it, man. People were even the best. KVD had some down years, and I understand that frustration. I hadn't listened to the interview on Duncan's channel, and I'm not going to for personal reasons, but I've heard enough of what he said that I agree with James, and it's about exposure, and it's about you being promised things and they don't deliver, and then you're basically cutting people out of their livelihood. And some of these companies need to understand that these guys that are doing these things on social media, they've got to do it even more, because now they're going to get even less exposure. And the one I thought was funny, and so James posted this on it was a comment. So Bobby Lane, who doesn't even fish MLF anymore, is fishing the Bass Opens winter boat restoration. Dude lives in Florida. What kind of restoration or
Not
winterization?
winterization.
What kind of winterization is Bobby Lane really doing on a bass boat?
But yeah, so he
And
left the tour.
yeah,
What does he
left the
know about
tour.
boat winterization? And so you got it comes out right at the same time, right? As they're like, we're cutting
Yeah,
to 50 because we can't give enough publicity to the 80 guys we have, yet we're featuring an article on our website of a guy that left us.
and Watson just freaking went after him. Was like, "What kind of shit is this? Like, you just cut us out of jobs, and you're here promoting somebody that doesn't winterize their boat and is fishing the other tour? Give me a break." And you know, I just I've left some kind of Instagram gif or something, but I mean, I agree with him. It's common sense. Like, who's running that social media team? Do they have a clue? It's like when forgot who it was won a bass event, and then PowerPole hashtag Major League Fishing in the post. I was like, yeah, it's a good way to lose a job, but you know,
Yeah,
it is.
it's
Watson's a funny dude. I think he's naturally funny. I'd like to see him catch more
not a good
fish, but
look, especially at that time when you're telling your anglers you can't promote 80 as well as you can promote 50, and you're promoting guys that aren't even on the tour anymore.
correct. So yeah, that's an excellent point. Like, how much is it that they're not MLF is not willing to put in the work versus the anglers? 10 years ago, I could say, man, there's a lot of anglers that don't put in the work. I think a lot of guys, whether they're paying somebody to do their social, they do it themselves, guys are putting in the work. But I always tease Martman and Des, like, dude, you get a lot of traction for what you post. It's very raw. I can tell you took a 10-second video on your cell phone. But he's really consistent. He does it every day. It's a Yamaha, a Strike King, a Hypertech, or something. But he does the work. There was a lot of guys trying to get by on just the skills, and we have the whole Guggen squad, the YouTube influencer area. We're part of that, and dude, I do as bad as job as anyone these days at being consistent. But consistency does pay off, and when they change those algorithms, sometimes being Mr. Consistent, not versus Mr. Eye Candy or Funny Man, will pay off. So
How about an actual fishing question?
let's go.
Michael, I actually definitely start. I mean, the chatterbait definitely catches them in the fall, but the
Mm-hmm.
spinnerbait, I definitely start to pick up and test and do like a little more what I would call A/B testing between my spinnerbaits and chatterbaits. And this weekend, there were times when I was catching them better on the chatterbait, and there were times I was catching them better on a spinnerbait. So I think, I mean, they both catch fish all year long, but I think early in the spring and later in the fall, spinnerbaits definitely play a bigger role for me. What do you say, Baitman?
As the water gets a little bit colder and those fish seem to get a little bit tighter to the stumps, a little bit more relative to the bottom, or vice versa, they want to chase, you burn a spinnerbait. But dude, I would say it's about 50-50. When I went yesterday, I threw spinnerbait quite a bit, and they just didn't want to eat it. They that one clobbered that jackhammer. Um, I think you can cover water faster in the fall with a bladed jig, unless you're getting out on a flat or you're burning a blade over points. Just reeling it, 90 mile an hour. And that's a really awesome strike too. But
Although, you know, a double willow, you can move
mm-hmm.
pretty quick.
Yes, you
That's
can.
what I was throwing this past weekend too. So it really depends on the style of spinnerbait. In clean water, a double willow, which I throw a lot up here in Minnesota, right? You can pretty much keep it moving almost as fast as chatterbait. But depends on the water and the style of spinnerbait for sure.
Yeah, I think if you got a lot of vegetation hanging around in the fall, whether it's hydrilla, milfoil, or whatnot, I think that chatterbait's a little bit easier to fish and get through there versus a spinnerbait. Spinnerbait tends to, if there's any clumpy stuff, it really binds the blades, whereas a blade you can rip it free a little bit. But I feel like if you're fishing in the fall, especially right now where I'm at, you got to have both. One thing I do feel like a spinnerbait does better than a chatterbait. So I like to fish a lot of stumps visually or brush piles visually. Spinnerbait's gonna come through a stump or through wood 10 times better than a bladed jig. I, you throw a bladed jig by a stump and you hit the stump, you might as well go get it. It's gonna get hung up. But that spinnerbait, you can really finesse around and make multiple casts most of the time.
There's one thing I want to mention here. And then we got some more questions lined up here. So Arsenal Fishing is doing a 5-day spooky sale. They got a bunch of deals here. Everything's 25% off if you use their code Halloween23. I guess I'll just throw this link in here too if anybody wants to check this out. Um, but they got 50% off different apparel. Some baits are 40% off. Their sun gloves are 35% off, which I really like. I use them all the time. They're really good. So worth checking out. Tungsten football jigs, 40% off. Some pretty good stuff. So, and tell me when I'm not showing the page, Baitman, so I don't sit there and talk and not show things. I'm bad about clicking that, but yeah. So there's the link in the chat. Go check out Arsenal Fishing. They got a pretty good sale here. And there you go. So I do have a few more questions. Let's see here. A little rapid fire here. I did see Micah Frazier hung it up. A guy that's had a pretty good career, state
Mm-hmm.
going back to FLW, came to the elites, had some success, won a St. Lawrence River tournament. I think he's just like tired of grinding and he's got other things. I think he's doing like remodels and house flips and property investments, and probably it's a
Mm-hmm.
lot smarter. So
Yeah.
that basically is going to keep somebody that was not coming back. So it's not going to go to Bobby Lane. It's not going to an EQ guy. It's going to go to somebody that was on the chopping block is going to be able to stay. But we don't ever saw that list, so we don't know who that is.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Dude, Micah
I think
Frazier pulled out some great fantasy points for me the last year I played.
nice. Yeah, he won on that Zoom Ned bait,
Yep.
supposedly on St. Lawrence. Um, I think only largemouth, but I think they could also do that with venue. Like you go to the
Mm-hmm.
Potomac, you go to the Arkansas River, even La Crosse. I think if Bass really wants to like avoid front facing sonar, they do it through scheduling, but that takes a couple years to get in
Absolutely.
coordination. You just need to mix in certain events. Like, I mean, can you
Go to
catch
Dale
fish?
Hollow
Can
and
it
make
help
it
you catch
largemouth
fish on the
only.
James and the Potomac and the Arkansas and Lacrosse? Yes, but it's not going to dominate it. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like, I think this elite class rookies next year will be really strong. These 9
Yeah.
guys coming in, I would bet
One of them
6 of
may
them
win
make the
one.
classic.
Right. We got one. Ben's already in.
Yeah, well,
I
I'm just
think.
saying, no, like in their rookie elite season year,
Right.
they will qualify for the Fawn Classic. I bet you 2/3 of them make the classic.
Yeah, I think Tompkins, JT Tompkins is Timmy Tompkins' son. Um, nice guy. Um, I think he'll do it. I think Ben's gonna have a really good shot. John Garrett is my sleeper to make a run at AOI because he
Sure.
is Mr. Consistent and he's very versatile. Uh, he can catch them in Florida. He can catch them on smallmouth lakes. He can power fish. He can finesse fish.
I mean, Kyle Patrick, I think is going to
Kyle
be pretty
Patrick.
strong. Even Milliken, yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of guys that are, and they're all so basically all of them are going to be eligible for Rookie of the Year, as far as I know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Trey McKinney's a good stick. I remember that kid fishing when he was
Yeah,
like
there's a couple
12
guys
years
like
old, little
Robert
bitty
Gee,
guy.
I don't know much about, and a couple other guys, but obviously they caught him. So, um, the Arsenal swim jigs have been good. I like them. I actually gave a bunch away on a member stream here. Let's see here. What else is I've heard the slobber knocker is better on wood than other chatterbaits.
I have heard
Uh,
that. I will try.
there are times that I like to go black and blue, brown and orange. Sometimes when the water gets a little colder, I will go a little louder with a little more like accent colors. Um,
I tell you, a good color for me, especially in the fall, is like anything with a watermelon. For some reason, I know it's a little bit more translucent. A lot of lakes where I'm at clear up a little bit. I feel like sometimes that green pumpkin a little overpower it. That watermelon seems to get a lot of good bites in the fall.
what's up, Amy? Must mean the kids are in beds in Mobile, Alabama.
They're these giant
Now I know why the chat blew up. It's because
mayflies.
Amy showed up. I thought there was actually people asking questions in here. Rick wants
Yeah.
to know about smallmouth bottom contact plastics.
So it really depends on the situation. You know, a fluke is a great way to catch them on soft plastic. I've caught a lot of smallmouth on a trick worm, on a shaky head. I'm trying to force myself to figure out this Ned deal for smallmouth. These guys smash them up here. I know Darius catches them on a Ned. I don't know if I'm impatient. I'm not using the right heads, but I'm starting to figure it out a little bit. I'm trying to get a
Try
little
a
bit more
chartreuse head
finesse.
for smallies.
Hey, what's up, Amy? Thanks for joining in. The drop shot is you know an obvious way to catch big smallmouth here.
I mean, my one of my favorite. I guess I got one right here.
You
I guess
damn
it's
right
not,
I do,
but
TK. Still throw the brown jig with green tinsel. The
the
chartreuse
stupid tube
strings.
dynamite bottom
Mm-hmm.
contact smallmouth bait.
Yeah, so Bart, he slayed with a tube in that um, Toyota here. And I almost won the dang thing.
Yeah. The yeah, I don't know. Stupid tube to me is just a confidence bait. Comes through
Mm-hmm.
stuff, gets bit.
Yeah.
Oh look, when I was trying to rig my chatterbait earlier, there's my menace scrub. That would have been a good one to throw on the back of that. Let's see here. Bass Nace changes. I feel like we talked about that last year when they announced it, but it's finally happening now. I think it's going to work out for guys that want to get into the qualifiers, like myself. I think I'll be able to get in the cross qualifiers, so we'll see. Payouts actually seem pretty. I saw the payouts on a Bass Nation call. There's going to be some pretty good money in these qualifiers in the national championship. So they're basically going to be like open lights for the Bass Nation guys. Is the best way to put it. How many MF guys will fish the opens? I think there's going to be a significant amount of guys that jump from the invitationals into the
Mm-hmm.
opens, but I think a lot of these BPT guys that don't make the cut know they can't hack it in the EQs and won't try. There will be some, but I don't think there will be as many as we think there will be.
Gunnersville in 2 weeks. Slide in my DMs. I don't know a whole lot of
Are you fishing in the
spots, but
kayak, Maine? Um, but it should be starting. We should be hitting that frog and flipping time of year, right? Punching and frogging this
yeah,
time.
actually, it should. You should still be able to have a frog bite depending on how hard this cold front hits. Going to be some punching. Um, do swim baits on bridges when that water gets below 65, 60, and a jerk bait.
And I guess depends on this what league you're fishing. If they allow A rigs, you absolutely should be throwing an A rig.
Yeah.
So if an A rig is legal, you better be throwing it.
Yeah.
Justin Cook, I like to throw my stupid tubes on a 743 bait casting rod on like 12 to 15 pound fluoro.
And I'm going to tell you, mainstream, bring a top water, buzz bait or walking bait.
Sure.
Water temperature may only be 55, but they'll still eat it there.
Dustin, based on what I saw, all the nation guys that are in clubs will get first chance before it goes to the true open, so that like guys that are just Bass Nation at large members. So if club guys want to do it and they want to fill these up, the at large guys won't get in. But if they don't, then the at large guys. So like they've got waves just like they do in the open. So club guys will get preference. So that's all you can really ask for. I agree. Most will go NPFL or retire or guide or do TV or whatever.
Lots more new YouTube channels coming and podcasts. More podcasts.
um, no, I don't think so. You just have to be registered in a club. To get the automatic priority codes, you have to qualify and get through your state, but there is a round where just my understanding is that if you're in a good standing club, you're in good standing in Bass Nation and with your state, there'll be a round for people to get into. So says he's fishing the Knucklehead KBF tournament. Well, I don't know their regs, but if they allow you to throw a rig, then you should be throwing it.
Yeah.
Trailers on buzz baits. Yes, I mean I either throwing if I'm throwing a skirted buzz bait, I'm almost throwing a trailer hook almost always. And if I'm throwing, a toad or a swim bait on the back, then typically I don't put a trailer hook on it. But
It just depends. I don't like a trailer on a buzz bait during the fall because I want to make sure I got a trailer hook on there. I've been throwing the evergreen buzz bait, by the way. It's a bad dude. It's a bad dude. More in the spring, summer, I'll thread the frog on there because it's bulky and they can really target that. I feel like if you want to run a trailer hook on that, great, but I prefer one after that. But usually on a buzz bait, I don't really put a trailer on there because I'd rather be able to put that trailer hook on there that doesn't get tangled up.
yeah, those who can't fish talk about fishing.
Yeah, so that's why I'm here. Thanks, Gravy. Lucas says, yeah.
So I I would say the easiest to get tube that I like the most right now is the X Zone 3.75 inch tube. Like something that I can just easily get off the shelf, has good colors, it's got the right thickness for stupid tubes. There
Mm-hmm.
are other ones like the Bite Me tube and a few others out there that are pretty good. The coffee tube's okay. But as far as like production ones that are easy to get that I get at Omni all the time, the X Zone tube. And then a lot of times I'm using my Bass Tech Agitator shaky head, which is a little shaky football head, as my stupid tube hook. The Bite Me one is okay. And then actually, Horseshoe Tackle, AJ Mendy, pours some really good EWG tube style hooks for stupid tubes. Maybe I'll bring those up quick, just show people.
There
I
was a
don't know. Have you
local
thrown
guy
the
that
stupid
used
tube
to.
much? Do you have a preference?
Yeah, there's a local guy here that used to pour them for store I worked at and for me, and he did a really good one. And I'll be honest, I'm not as the stupid tube connoisseur as many people. The Secret Lures one is really
Yeah,
good.
that's the OG one. That one's pretty good for sure.
And as far as the tube, man, I've used everything. That Hella said, there's a company called Smack Daddy or Snack Daddy. I
Mhm.
know that Dustin knows about them. They make a really good tube, very good tube. And then the other ones I always used a Mismo, which Mismo used to pour for like 75% of the tube companies, but
Yeah, some
um,
like Snack Daddy, and I feel like some of those like triple dip,
mm-hmm,
double triple dip tubes are really good for like the traditional style tubes of like
mm-hmm,
exposed. I don't typically like those as much for stupid tube because then it just there's a lot of plastic to fight through. So
right.
I like the thinner ones
If you can
for
find some
stupid
of them
tubing.
old school Zoom tubes, the bigger ones, they're thin. Those are good. And I'll tell you, one that I keep close to vest is the old Yamamoto tubes on a stupid tube because they're thin walled. Yeah, you can get a hook through them things, jokers, real quick. But they're hard to find.
But do you get more than one fish on it? Because that's the typical
No,
knock
it's
of
just
a.
like a Cinco. You get one, maybe two fish. Um,
So definitely check out AJ's tube heads here. I just put a link in the chat, and then also um, I'll show you the one of my favorite is this color. Bugs, I think, is the color. It's basically green pumpkin with copper flake. They call it Bugs. That's a really good one. I don't think Omnia carries the green pumpkin blue, but that's another one that I like. But and the reason I actually tried these, I think when I was down, it was either at like a TBF tournament or a Bass Nation regional or national. I got a bag of X Zone tubes in green pumpkin blue. They were in the boat. I tried them. I was like, these actually work pretty good. And I've been using them ever since. So
yeah, Bob Stan Sloan cussed me out because I called his aggravator a spinnerbait. Did not like that. I was about 17 trying to order some spinnerbaits from Stan Sloan. I said, I'm going to order some spinnerbaits. And he said, well, I don't sell a damn spinnerbait. And he hung up. I was like, what the? No. Hellabass, I gotta go to bed soon.
sounds good.
I gotta work.
No worries. You can. I can wrap this. I can land the plane.
Yeah. I'm gonna jump off here. I'm gonna go to work. I'm gonna miss my son's championship football game. Won't get to coach because I got to work. But I want to thank you for inviting me on. I'll be ready to do this at the end of November. Hopefully, we get some exciting fishing news, and you know what? Maybe I'll get some boxes of baits. So,
Sounds
uh,
good, dude. Appreciate
make
you
sure you
coming
guys
on.
all visit Hella's sponsors. Support him. If you decide to support me, that's cool too. No pressure here. So,
Yeah, if you can't
thanks.
find your baits at Omnia, you can go click the Tackle Warehouse link in Baitman's description.
Appreciate that, Rich. You're a hell of a guy. You
Right
guys
on.
have a good one. Sorry I got a jet.
The guy needs his sleep. Good to see you, Backlash Pro. Trevor Kettles, Pickwick 2020. Was that 2020 or 2019? I think Pickwick was 2019 and Watchtower River was 2020. But yes. Um, Justin says, I've yet to be outfished with a stoop tube versus a Texas rig tube. I rarely fish them in the same, like on the river, Mississippi River. If I'm flipping wood or grass or things like that, I would flip a Texas rig tube. The only time I would really throw a stupid tube on the Mississippi River would be on riprap banks and wing dams. So, but otherwise, I use it a lot in really rocky situations, on like where Texas rigs get hung up more. Um, I like Mismo for a flipping tube. I haven't really tried it much for a stupid tube. Yeah, Patch Slopper one. I'm pretty sure that was 2019. I haven't. I've been meaning to free rig more. I could see the free rig playing. I tried it a few times. I caught some fish early in the spring, actually free rigging a tube. I picked that up watching Milliken's video on Eufaula, and I caught some fish early, and then I kind of got away from it. Um, tube is a little cheaper. It's more of a hassle to rig. So like a Texas rig is easier to re-rig the tube. Like you burn through tubes faster on a Texas rig, but you don't have to re-rig. But then the Super Tube, every time you tear one up, you have to cut it off and retie, which is good because then you forces you to retie. Um, but typically, if I'm on a Super Tube bite, I'll re-rig I'll pre-rig like at least a half a dozen of them and then just retie them. But the shape of the head and that it's internal to the tube, it tends to come through rocks better. And not typically. I don't typically because the rods that I throw in my Stupid Tube, I don't typically have other baits that would get a bobber stop on them. So no bobber stop on the Stupid Tube. Um, I'm not fishing right now. I'm closest to pools 4. I recently fished a tournament on 5A and 6. Before that, I had a tournaments out of 10, fish 9 and 10. But I fish a decent amount between like pool 2 and pool 10 on the Mississippi River. Dustin fishes more down, what, like 18 to 23, somewhere down there. The big bite tube I have stupid tubed. It's typically when I bump up to a 1/4 ounce or bigger, when a little bigger hook, I'll use the stupid tube or the big bite tube, but it's a little bigger. Um, yeah. So basically, Dustin, for the most part, fishes where I stop, he starts. But I might have to put maybe it would be more weedless and come through the rocks better with a bobber stop on a stupid tube. That's a good point. I might instrument that. I need I need to get a little Sharpie TK and sit down with you and like write the names of all these crankbaits on the bill so I know what I'm throwing. I do know that this one is for this one I can remember, right? Because this one is the rat brain. That one I can remember. And I can remember this is the SB1. But some of these other ones, I think now I know this is the root because I lost the other one to a pike. I guess I know some of them. I forget what that one is. So, see, I'm getting old. I can't remember like I used to. See, but like, but I think even Ed Chambers used to put the names on them, didn't he? Back in the day, weren't they engraved in the lip? Yeah. Why can't you just scratch it in the lip like Ed did for me? It'd be so helpful. Or maybe Marty could scratch it in the lip. Hellcat. Yeah, Hellcat was the craw. The other tacklecraft really likes it when you mix his preference. He loves it when you mix round bends with EWGs and then you mix the colors of the hooks. It doesn't bother his OCD at all. I'm a big fan of red hooks on top waters on the front and baits that dive less than 3-4 feet. If you look at my top water box, almost everyone will have a red hook on the front. This one's in the wrong box. Got to move that one. So, Even poppers, typically. That one's gold. That one needs to be fixed. It used to be red, now it's gold. And it's bent. Imagine that, TK. My front red hook is bent. Let's see here. What's up, Brian? What's going on? I don't know. What other questions? Let me see. Is there any other questions I didn't I think I answered that question. Levi, I'd love to come to Florida. I am tapped out on vacation, and if I fish the opens next year, I am not going to have any extra vacation to go to Florida, unfortunately. I think I've talked about it. Basically, the drive shaft snapped. So that happened because evidently there's a couple like internal motor mounting bolts that snapped, twisted off, cracked, and once those went, that put a lot of ripple effect, put a lot of unneeded torque on my drive shaft, and it sheared it off. And then when that sheared, it probably took a few other things with it. So I didn't hit anything. Um, the when Intune Marine was talking to the Mercury people, they're like, "Did you look at these bolts?" Like they kind of like it wasn't the first time they've heard about it, if that makes sense. So yeah, all covered under warranty, but it's taken a while to get the parts, so there's a good chance I won't get my boat out or my boat back until after it's. I got a couple black labels in here. Somebody mentioned black labels. The budget balsa compared to the the big M's, but quality bait as well. It's like trying to mate with my method crank. But yeah, there's a black label. Here's a non-balsa bait in here. This is actually a crankbait I've caught a lot of fish on. The Ima square bill. Good bait. Caught a lot of fish on that thing. Here's my other black label. I bought one of these Bagley. I forget what this thing's called. Something B. What is it? I forget. A lot of the guys up here say it's really good. They like it. I haven't thrown it yet, but I bought one just to try. Um, they say that you throw. Well, I mean, it's a combination of like there's some issues with their castings in these Fury props, but also I guess if you run the motors too high and trim them a lot, that exasperates the problem on these props. But good night, Amy. Yeah, I don't know. There's definitely a lot of guys with Mercs in the shops. Seems like I don't know. Hmm. All right, we hit 2 hours. I don't know if there's anything else to talk about tonight. I don't. I mean, I think we could in a future night we could go through the balsa square bill flat side box, or we could go through the top water box some future night. But um, you know, I I don't miss my two stroke because my two stroke that I had before this was a 2005 EFI. It wasn't even an Optimax. So that particular one was not very easy on gas. It used a lot of oil. It was only the 2.5. It wasn't the 3 liter, so it didn't really carry the weight even of my like Pantera Classic. So once I put like talons and other things on my boat, my Pantera, it didn't really have that like low end torque to really like. So no, I don't miss my personal two stroke, but I will say that like those Pro XS two strokes of the later years were pretty really good moats. good motors. Um, I would say, well, I don't know. You guys have shad, but when it gets cold and nasty in the fall, I always have like to have the option to fish smallies. So a lot of times the rivers up here are the place to go. I've pretty much only had Mercs, but I've really only owned like 3 motors in my life. It's mostly Vixens in there. There might be a there's not a this box doesn't have any shower. I don't know. Thoughts on the Yamatanuki in the fall? I haven't used the Yamatanuki enough. I've only caught a couple bass on it. I've been kind of intrigued by throwing the small Yamatanuki on a Ned head. Um, I have never ran the leash. No. But I've never hit anything hard enough or high enough. The only time I ever hit something was with the skeg. And the leash really only matters if you hit like on the I don't know. Typically if I'm running it, it's trimmed up high enough that I'm only gonna hit the skeg of the prop, but it's probably smart to run the leash, but I've never done it. Yeah. Plenty of time this winter to go through boxes. I actually ordered 2 bags of those. What are they? The something the tip worms? Yeah. So those will be coming on a future live stream. We can look at those Ned baits, but I did order 2 bags of those and some of his stickers. Yeah, they do look good. It's something tip. The hollow tip worm. Is that what it is? Yeah. HTW hollow tip worm. They're actually made by Samantha Baits, I think. You have a little bit left in the mug if people want to chat. You do only have 4 days to use the current Omnia code. The smallies that I caught last weekend were from smaller lakes. We didn't actually go out on the chain. The house I was on the very east tip of Pine Lake, but we went to a lot of little lakes. We didn't bother with the chain. I hope to see you there as well. I've got it on my calendar to register, so need to lay out the plan at home um, for next year. I don't know that I'm getting out this weekend. Nobody's invited me, so if somebody's going fishing around me and wants to invite me, let me know. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm not famous enough to be in Omnia videos. That's what happened to mine, Top Toad. Much appreciated. We actually dropped one of my Arsenal scissors into Lake Alexander. So I need to replace one of my Battle Braid scissors for next year. Next weekend, maybe. I also got to figure out when my buddy wants to go up to Mille Lacs too. So how far is it? I'm guessing it's quite a drive, Dustin, but might have to do something. I also have to see if my daughter ends up making the high school hockey team, because if she does, that's going to probably throw a wrench into things. I have not. I've seen the Toad Thumper in person. Like I think I saw it at the Classic, but I didn't buy any. TK threw it at Pigstone. He caught a few fish on it, but the weight fell out really quick. So the experiment ended pretty quickly. I mean, I think everything else about it held up, but the weight fell out so quick after like 2 or 3 fish that. But other than that, I think it was fishing fine until the weight fell out. We have not. Yeah, Cedar Rapids is like at least 3.5, I think, for me. Um, Dustin and I have not fished together. We just chat on YouTube and Instagram, but wouldn't rule it out. I'd like to go fish with more people. A lot of them have weight issues. I've definitely had runs of Spros that have had bad issues. The Terminator originally was pretty good about weights, but now I would say lately they're not great about weights on the Terminator. I have not been impressed with my swamp donkeys have been losing weights. The Spro Flapping Frog Gen 1 was awful, but now the new Flapping Frog was actually really good when they redid it. Yeah, I absolutely. It'll probably be a good 6 months or more before we get to throw the Swamp Lord, unfortunately. Nothing scheduled for India at this time. No active work there, but no, I absolutely will be eventually giving an honest review. I mean, I could probably walk up to the pond and like see how it walks. Maybe if I'm bored this weekend and it's not blowing 100. It was really windy today. I could go play around with the frog, but yeah, the only thing I'd see, unless there's something weird about how they hook up, or if the weight comes out super easy, but I feel like they're going to be pretty good. Like, I would say if you see them on sale or you want to use the code at Omnia, I would not hesitate to grab a couple for next year. I see nothing that makes me nervous about buying them. Yeah. I have not fished a 10,000 fish frog. I'm not even really sure that I've ever seen one. You're saying it got destroyed by the pads or the bass destroyed it in the pads? Because I feel like they're pretty durable. Although I feel like you have to re-rig it up on the hook quite often, but the body itself lasted forever. Really. They don't always eat it, but when they do eat it, it's pretty darn good. I wouldn't I feel like I could keep pushing mine back up on the nose. It was a little irritating, but I've caught a lot of fish on the flapping frogs. Yeah. But that stupid yeah, we were super snotty mossy. So you're saying it's not a good mat frog, maybe. Or it was catching too much of the stringy stuff. Ryan says the 10K frogs are good. All right. The drink is done. Yeah, you want to be in slightly sparser color cover. So if you're in like super thick pads where you don't have much open water, I would throw a walk-in or a poppin' frog. Um you want more of that stringy where you got gaps where you can I mean, it's kind of the same water you would throw a ribbit or a buzz frog in. Yeah, I wouldn't use it. Like I wouldn't use it in a mat situation. I wouldn't use it in really thick stuff. I don't like throwing it in heavy rice because it gets hung up a lot. Those legs just catch. So yeah. Well, the cocktail is gone. We're at 2 hours. The chat has slowed. We're gonna go out while the getting is good. Thanks for everybody hanging out on a Friday night special stream. Thanks to Bateman for coming on. Those that might still be watching on his channel, I don't know if he turned his off or not, but go click the link down below if you're going to buy some stuff from his Tackle Warehouse order. Otherwise, if you came in late, the replay is probably worth it. Facebook, YouTube, search Hellabass on your favorite MP3. Hit thumbs up, do all those things. Yeah, Joe, you shared it on Facebook and then you forgot about it. Now you're going to have to watch the replay. But as always, here to help you guys catch more big bass and suck less.